Coach, you're off to one of your best starts ever. Would you attribute that success to the building that you did during the fall, during your fall program?
You know, the fall is always important because obviously that's your building time and getting your guys ready. When we put the schedule together, we actually had a couple trips south that got canceled because Texas changed in their conference schedule, and so we had to move stuff around a little bit, and we had to go down to Lawn Morris a little earlier than we expected to. You know, we opened up on the road for 3, and then we went on the road, ended up going to Crowder. And if you'd have told me we were going to be 4-0 after that trip and going to Crowder, you know, obviously we're capable of doing those things. It's just, you know, you're young, it's early, we're really young on the mound. If anything, it had a lot more to do with this year we got to get out. You know, last 2 years we didn't get on the baseball field till late February. We didn't play any games. I mean, I think last February we played 3 games the entire month, and this year we were able to get 8 in, but it wasn't the 8 games. It was the fact that we got to get in probably 21 innings of simulated baseball, as well as being on the baseball field consistently rather than sporadically. And so the weather probably had a lot more to do with the success than anything, is just getting the opportunity to get out and practice before we went down to Texas and played. So,
what are some of the things that you as a coach have picked up from these 8 straight victories?
You know, probably the biggest thing is the fact that if you look at the box scores, we've always scored after they scored. We've answered the call almost every single time. You know, that's unusual for a young team. You know, we're not really young offensively and defensively, but we have new guys. There's a lot of new guys. So a couple of those guys are transfers that are sophomores, and Podless is a transfer from Virginia. You had a little bit of maturity coming back in that area. We kind of felt like offensively we would be more successful offensively than on the mound early, and really we've probably been more successful on the mound than offensively. But I think just the relaxation of the ball club when somebody punches us in the mouth and says we're coming after you, they don't run and hide. Somebody posted on Facebook the other day, I think it was Mr. Copeland, said they're to come from behind kids and never quit playing till the last out. And that's kind of, you know, we thought this group might be special because of personality and commitment to excellence and winning baseball games. Opening up 8-0 is obviously a lot of things have to go into that, as well as luck during the baseball games is part of it. So and you know, I've heard a quote one time, and I can't remember who it came from, that I'd rather be lucky than good. Luck has something to do with it as well, especially in baseball. So you combine all those factors, the success of the pitching staff may have been the second part of that, and that is, you know, we really have been great offensively when we needed to be, and then the pitching staff is almost across the board has been excellent in all 8 games for us.
Let's talk a little bit about your pitching staff. You are very young, but you've also been able to use quite a few pitchers in these first 8 games. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, the only returning pitcher that had any starting experience for us was Danny Colon, and we're not sure where he stands right now. He's got an MRI scheduled, and we may have lost him to a labrum tear, which automatically pushed all those freshmen up one spot, and you know, we really felt we'd hit a lot of bumps early with this pitching staff, and we haven't. I mean, we've got exceptional starts out of Hernandez and Rimlard and Rivera, and we got a really good start out of Diaz. He would have went a little bit longer against Johnson County. That was his first start, and he would have he would have gone longer if he had enough endurance. You know, he really wasn't built up to go long right now because he's kind of coming off of some arm tenderness. So we knew the depth of the pitching staff would be really important early. We got a transfer from NOC Enid Willard, who Kyle's we thought he was going to be a soft lefty, but heck, he's been 85, 87, but he is dirty. And he's got, I don't know, 6 appearances in 8 games. He just comes in when the game's on the line and pitches, and he has a really good pickoff move. And Copeland's already got 3 saves on this young season, and so those two, though we may be really young as starters, we really were pretty happy with the fact that we had a sophomore in Copeland and Bonner who would give some stability coming out of the bullpen. Willard's, kind of out of nowhere, but he's really good. Out of 8 starts, we've only had 1 that was not a very good start, and we had to recover and build back, and the depth of the bullpen and having to use 3 or 4 guys in that game was really what got us back into that win against Johnson, so on game 2.
Because you're so young, are you using the pitch count with these kids early?
It's not that they're young, it's that, early in the season, they're just not trained to throw 100 pitches yet. You're throwing a lot of bullpens at 30 to 40 to 50 to 60. You really have to, some of them probably could go longer. You just don't want to endanger them. You don't want to push them too hard where they come out of it with a lot of soreness. 9-inning ball games, you'd really like to see your starter get you 5 or 6, and 7-inning ball games, if your starter gets you 5 or 6, the game's over. And so we've been getting 5 to 6. We've been right on the border of that 6th inning at about 80 pitches with our guys, and knowing as they get to their 3rd and 4th starts that we're going to be able to extend them another 15 or 20 pitches. And yes, the pitch count's important right now. We don't want to push guys past that endurance level where they end up injuring themselves. So,
what about? Let's talk about your infield defense, starting with catcher.
Well, is it okay with you if I just kind of talk about the whole infield?
That's fine.
Okay. The catching area, we do return Snobble, who's our sophomore catcher from last year. He's a mature guy, and we've got a young catcher with Sam Grollo, who's really, really, really good and really quick, and really, he doesn't have a big-time arm, but he's super quick. Those 2 guys have both been exceptionally good early, and both of them have swung, Snobble's got more opportunity to swing the bat, and he's really swung it well than Grollo so far, but Grollo's right there with him. When you work around the diamond, you get Cody Riley back at first base, so you were mature at first base, and he was a 4-hole hitter and hit 11 home runs last year. We have a transfer from New Mexico, JC, Sam Domingue at second base, and a freshman that he's named Kevin Myers, but Kevin's not really a true freshman. He just hasn't played. He kind of was, he came out of high school and went to another college. Things didn't work out for him. He kind of thought about, he's an exceptional golfer. He thought maybe that the route he went, and then all of a sudden he kind of said, what, I got a short window here to play baseball. I better go take this opportunity if I can. And he's, to me, if he stays 100% healthy and stays strong, I think he can be a draftable guy. But those 2 middle infielders right there are really, really, really good. That may be the best tandem middle infield, at least compete with anybody in the country. They both have range, they both have great arms, and they both turn the double play exceptionally well. Depth there, Grollo, the catcher, can go out there. Will Cox is a young infielder out of New Mexico that's pretty good. Both those guys are solid backups right now. Both those guys might end up being starters next year. They're both going to compete and fulfill roles in that area. But even though those 2 guys are new to us, both those guys don't play like freshmen. They really play like sophomores. And really, Domingue is a sophomore because he played a year at New Mexico JC. And then you get third base, you have Dom Semin. And Dom's really a mature infielder right now. He's worked really hard to get better at a couple of the plays at third base. He's not fast. Okay, he has, and he's learned. He played second base for us all last year, and it's just the timing difference has got him a couple times maybe, where a ball that he didn't get to he could have, but he made really 2 great plays over the series against Johnson County that showed that he's evolving there as a third baseman for us. Makes the bunt play well, throws on the run well, throws from the ground better now, and he's really, really a good hitter. And really, if we made any moves, if one of those guys got hurt, Will Cox is really solid. Will Cox will be the next insertion into that area. and CJ can play all three positions adequately for us. Probably long term he's better at second base, but you know, if you got in trouble and you had to play, you know, your second shortstop would be Domingue. But if you got in a position where you had to play Wilcox every day, you'd move Domingue to short if Myers went down or whatever. Real comfortable with those four guys, as well as Grollo. Grollo is really a good infielder too, but he's kind of emerged as our next best catcher, and he'll push Snobble pretty hard for that spot. But we feel like it's really a good, solid defensive infield, and all those guys are offensive in their own ways. So.
What about your outfield?
Outfield, we're kind of, you know, we probably only have about 14 position players. Normally when I go in the year, we're at about 16 to 17 position players. We're only at 13 or 14 right now. And so we're only able to talk about 4 guys deep in the infield usually, and about 4 guys deep in the outfield. In center field right now is Mark Pavlis, his transfer from University of Virginia. He was projected to hit the 7th rounder coming out of high school, turned down about $380,000 to go to Virginia, and really good student, really great young man. And things just didn't work out the way it happens. I mean, the stuff that I can't really get into. It wasn't trouble. It was the fact that, you know, they felt like they had guys at freshmen that they didn't want to let go. It was either let go of him or let go of one of those guys, and they kind of thought that, you know, maybe they wanted to keep the freshmen. So he got out of there, came here, gets to play every day. He's going to develop as a really good outfielder. He's probably not a center fielder at the Division I level, or as a draft, he's probably a left fielder, corner outfielder type guy. But he's an exceptional outfielder, and he's a really good hitter. His batting average is not real high yet, but he's got 9 RBIs. He's got a couple game-winning hits, and you're going, you know what? That's just going to keep coming, because as the pressure gets on him, he gets better. And so he'll pretty much play every day in center field for us. Occasionally, I'll move him to left. Right field's Pete Hoyt. PJ is a returner, hitting a 2-hole for us last year. He had a great series against Johnson. They hit about 500 against him over the series, stole 2 bases, drove in some runs. Exceptional outfielder, maybe the best defensive outfielder in the group, because he's got an absolute great arm. Apollos is a little short on the arm, but it's a really good center field, left fielder arm. Pete's the only guy we got, really's got a big time right fielder arm. Pete can kind of do it all. You know, he can get on base, drive runs in, and play situational baseball for us. And then left field right now, emerging right there, probably is Nick Shiplet right now is a little left-handed hitting runner that's a little bit, you know, he's not a power guy. He's going to be move the ball around, get the ball in play, run, steal some bases. But he's shown the capacity to get big hits right now, and that's something that I wasn't sure where he would be at this point. Part of that is because he's a fierce competitor, and he's incredibly confident as a guy. And when he's playing, he reminds me so much of Kurt Klein-Dist off my World Series team in 05. You know, came in as a walk-on, worked his tail off, got the opportunity, and we're better when he's playing right now. So it's hard to ever take him out of the lineup. I'm not sure how he handles left-handers right now, but my job is to try to develop depth, so I got to continue to work on that. The next outfielder is Zane Fish. It's a transfer, D1 transfer. You know, left field was kind of between him and Ship early, and Ship's kind of emerged a little ahead of him with energy and preparation and work ethic. And right now, performance a little bit, he's kind of ahead of him. So, and Fish is really important to us because he can play left field, he can probably play right field, he can play some third base, first base, and catch as well. So the depth, his ability to move around and help us in different areas is what's important about him.
What about do you feel pretty confident as far as your offensive lineup is concerned, or are you still tinkering with that a little bit?
Well, early in the year, you're going to, I don't know if I want to call it tinkering necessarily. You're setting up lineups to see, like the first day against Johnson, the wind's blowing out. So Calvin Ellis is our DH, and Calvin can't run outside in a day, but he's really got good power, and he's a really good hitter right now. And if it's an offensive day against a right-handed pitcher, he's going to be swinging the bat. And you turn around the next day, and you got a 25-mile-an-hour wind blowing in from right center, and he can hit the ball as hard as he wants into that wind, and it's probably not going to go out. And he's a non-runner, so we still used him against a right-handed pitcher. But when they went to the left-handed pitcher, we went to a smaller athlete with a better runner that was a little better bunter that was Might still a base, may not, but you know, you go with the percentages. So it's not so much tinkering as looking at situations and how they fit each guy and putting in the best lineup that you feel has the best chance to win.
How deep do you feel that you are there offensively?
You know, even though we're only, you look traditionally at all lineups in college baseball, only about maybe 12 to 13 position players play 95% of your innings, get 95% of your at-bats, and we're at that number. So, I mean, it's not that we don't have depth, it's just that we're right at that number. And it makes it a little bit easier every day because when guys come to the yard every day, they realize that, you know, if I work hard and there's not any extra guys Coach Ward has to get playing time for that he's waiting to develop, I'm the guy, so I've got to go get it done. And you know, I don't think we're short on depth by any means. And offensively, you know, it's going to be a good offensive ball club. I think it could be really scary at some point. There's some things we're not very good at right now that I think we'll improve on with practice. Obviously, when you get more and more at-bats and you get to see live pitching a lot more, then things become a little bit easier and you become a little more relaxed as a hitter. It's not, you know, you're not reacting in panic mode all the time, afraid. You know, and so as I look at us offensively, that's the thing about us is that we still have a lot of guys kind of, you know, going to fear responses and muscling the bat a little bit. Doesn't mean you can't have some success. It just means, you know, your percentage of success is going to drop a little bit. But we've had such timely hitting and momentum hitting. When we got a hold of a guy, we don't let him go. And then, you know, every time somebody scored big on us, it's like in game one, they go out and put a 5-spot on us. Not game one, game two, a 5-spot on us in the fourth, and we just turn around and like, ho-hum, it's to our turn now. We go score 5, and then we go score 4 in the ninth to win it when it was time to score. It's not always going to happen that easy or that well. I mean, there's going to be a day we're going to go, well, this guy on the mound's just really, really tough, and he's not afraid of us. You know, to score that many runs, typically you have to have a little bit of help from the pitcher, walking guys or hitting a guy, putting himself in the stretch, or a defender making an error. It's not every day you walk out and score 5 runs just swinging the bat, unless you just don't have a very good pitcher on the mound that's throwing batting practice to you. That'll happen, but not against the people we're playing right now. So, I mean, we saw the number 9 prospect in the country in junior college baseball, Ridnour, in game 1, and he was 90 with a dirty slider and a really good changeup, and we were lucky to get the 3-2 win against him, but we really did an exceptional job. And if we hadn't pitched so well, and we matched him with Rimlard, and Rimlard was toe to toe with him the whole way. It was pretty fun to watch. You know, a sophomore and your young freshman pitcher who's got no fear of anything right now, just going out there getting after it. So.
What about the conference? How do you feel about the conference?
Well, I haven't. You know, we didn't get to do our conference fall jamboree deal that we always get to do because it got rained out at ORU. So I can't really touch on that very well. I know that all the rumors that kind of float around and people talk about, none of it really has much validity because there's nothing concrete to it than other, you know. You go watch Seminole one day and you don't like them because they have a bad day, and you don't see them again. You come to NEO and we have a great day, and you go, wow, NEO is better than Seminole. And reality is we may be equal. It's just they saw them on a bad day, us on a good day. So I would say right now, I think we're in the top of the pack. I think we're the type of ball club that can be at the top of this group this year especially. Eastern lost a lot of guys, but they have good arms. They're probably not as good offensively as they've traditionally been, but they're young. A lot of young guys. Those guys develop and they get better. So who they are today may not be who they are in 2 months or in a regional. So Connors, people say, is just a typical Connors team. 2 or 3 guys that can pitch, a couple of guys that can swing it. Just Connors. You know, I know that Crowder, we beat Crowder the other day in a real good ball game, 6-3, and Crowder goes down and beats Connors at Connors, beats him up pretty good the first game, and then beats him 2 days later at home. So we know that at least we're, that's baseball. Just because they beat him twice doesn't mean we're going to beat them. It just means that, we feel really good about where our talent level is right now, and the type of people we have playing our games. So we feel good about our guys, and our guys really feel good about each other. So, you know, Seminole I don't know anything about other than that, you know, it's Seminole. You know, they're always going to be good. They're always going to have good arms and be athletic. I mean, you know, they're an incredibly well-funded ball club and program and well respected, so you expect them to be good. After that, well, I tell you what, I don't really know. I know nothing about Arkansas Baptist other than they lost all their best guys from last year, so they're going to be rebuilding. And Rose State lost most of their guys, but Rose State walked out day one and beat Cali 2-1. Cali's, you know, a two-time national champion ball club. So I think that, you know, we're not going to know much about where we stand in our conference until we start going head-to-head a little bit against each other.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike.